everyone, this is Group19. Our topic question is whether it is sustainable for restaurants to keep guests outside the building rather than inside. Emily is going to talk about the main argument, and I'm going to talk about some premise. Crystal will provide some examples, and Bianca will introduce some objections.
Would you like to be seated inside or under a patio? Especially when it's outside, many people will say, patio please. Whether you call it outdoor dining, picnicking, or eating al fresco, enjoying a meal outside is very much a part of everyday life, particularly in warmer months. There's now an entire culture around outdoor dining, from trendy beer gardens to extravagant rooftop restaurants. People seem to enjoy eating outside more than ever before, whether it's for the unique ambience or just to get some fresh air. An outdoor space means more room for tables, more customers, and more revenue. But that's not the only benefits. Being outdoors, particularly in space with plants, can make people feel happier. People also don't have to worry as much about noise levels. It also provides restaurants with ways to decorate the restaurant to create the best possible outdoor dining experience. However, despite the benefits, the outdoor dining heavily depends on the weather. The uncertainty around the weather creates near constant stress for the people who have to decide whether or not it's worth opening on any given day. The patio season is limited since people prefer staying in warmer places when the weather gets cold. You might think heaters will help, but having heaters are not sustainable. While the heaters are great at warming their surroundings, they have come under criticism from environmental campaigners who claim they use too much energy, creating unnecessary carbon emissions. The outdoor dining rather became essential, especially during COVID-19. However, after thinking about it from the restaurant's perspective, we have decided that it is not sustainable for restaurants to keep guests outside the building. Followed by this introduction, Amy will be explaining the levels and types of restaurants.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm gonna talk about the premise. We believe that it is not sustainable for restaurants to keep customers outside forever because the restaurant don't only sell food and meals, but also sell services. Services is a very important factor which determine the level and type of the restaurant. Besides meals, many luxurious restaurants depend on indoor decoration and premier services. Some services cannot perform outside at all. For example, Japanese omakase needs customers to sit at the bar and the chef makes the sushi in front of them. Additionally, the weather and the street environment is another uncertain factor that will impact customer experience and their satisfaction. Sometimes if it is raining or very cold in winter with heavy snow and wind, the restaurant cannot even operate normally. Therefore, keep guests outside will impact their normal operation and may cause many financial loss. On the other hand, if they sit outside, there might be many incidents outside than inside. So sometimes sitting in the street even cannot make sure the safety, which is the basic need of customers. In addition, keep guests outside will also impact the urban environment. It will take more space than before. They will occupy the sidewalks and they will make the street and city more crowded. If all restaurants take place outside, there will be a huge waste of indoor space. And it is also very complicated for the real estate owners and the city regulators to decide the new rental fees. So there will be a mess if they keep guests outside forever.
Thanks, Amy, for briefly introducing the reasoning aspect of service, atmosphere, and weather conditions. Now I'm going to explain that it is not sustainable to enable restaurants to keep guests outside the building rather than inside, by providing specific examples. Bar Mazana, which is just right under my apartment, is a great example. Before the pandemic, it would open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and I saw many people walk into the restaurant whenever I looked down to the street. However, due to COVID-19, they are only able to keep guests outside the restaurant, So they actually reduce the number of tables as there are not enough places on the street, and the number of customers have greatly reduced because of this. As winter comes, the temperature in Boston will decrease rapidly, so people are only able to eat outside at daytime, as sunshine may help them to feel better. So recently, even when I look down to the street to the restaurant at 3 p.m., there are much less people than before. And I saw them wearing Canada Goose eating in the cold wind while I'm laying on my sofa and stay cozy. Sadly, there are even no people at all after 5 p.m. As the night comes, it is too cold to eat outside. The restaurant must also realize this, so they even put away the string light, which hangs outside before, as there are no customers when it gets darker anymore. And I believe they do not want to pay for the high electricity bill as business is already in a downturn. However, the situation can be even worse when Boston starts to snow regularly. As it is already in the mid of December, Boston will have lots of snowstorms in just a few days. Think about this. Are you willing to eat outside in minus 20 degrees? I believe the answer is no, right? Therefore, the customer rate of the restaurant may just reduce to zero, as nobody are willing to eat outside in this condition. So it is not sustainable at all for restaurants to keep guests outside the building rather than inside. Now, let's welcome Bianca to give us the conclusion.
Hi, everybody. Many of you could still not agree with us and with what Amy and Crystal pointed out about the unsustainability of enabling restaurants to keep guests outside the building rather than inside, and think that it is a nice and interesting idea instead, that it could attract many customers and let the restaurant be a success for a long time period. Let's try to analyze some possible contrasting opinions then, and to understand if those objections are actually making the restaurants sustainable. For example, a point of objection may be that if the weather conditions are not optimal, restaurateurs can have a roof built to repair the guests from rain. Concerning the cold during winter, they can provide heat lamps to keep the guests warm. However, in our opinion, even if the heat lamps may be a good solution to the cold, the roof cannot repair the guests from the humidity created by the rain and from its side splashes. Regarding the atmosphere, someone may point out that many guests love more informal situations where there is a bit of noise. In addition, outside background may be very welcoming, in particular if the restaurant can offer the guests an amazing landscape. Even though it is true that restaurants outside the building with a view are particularly attractive, not all of them may have it. And for those that do have it, there are still many other annoying factors like cars circulating around, polluted air, and city noise. Furthermore, we think that even if there are customers that appreciate the noise around, a restaurateur should probably consider what is best for the majority of his customers. So probably most of them who are spending the lunch or the dinner with friends and family would prefer to have the possibility to talk to them rather than being interrupted by noise. This picture that we've chosen is from one of my city's neighborhood. I live in the Italian city of Turin, and all these outside areas that you can see are of bars where people can go during night to have a cocktail, but none of them is of a restaurant because there is too much crowd and noise for people to have a meal. Therefore, in our opinion, these objections may be valid ones, but they would not strengthen the sustainability of a restaurant. Because in the end, even if customers like what is different and original, they would probably prefer to have a meal inside a restaurant where they can find a comfortable and warm place and relax and have a good time with their friends.